Startup Grind number 11. This is the 11th event that we're doing in Cyprus, and we're very excited to be here with the founders of Cats of Cyprus, and also all the lovely sponsors and the partners that supported us to make this happen. Personally very excited as well to see faces in person, because we were doing online before 3 events ago, and it's much different to meet in person and see you all here present. We're gonna get started. Most probably some people are gonna be late, that's fine. We have people from the live with the virtual tickets watching us as well. First of all, thank you for coming, and let's get started. First of all, I want to introduce our guests. We've got Panayiotis Savva right here, one of the co-founders of Cats of Cyprus, and we've got Eric Georgiades. Thanks for having us. Also, and myself tonight I'm going to be your host, running this event. My name is Hess Adnani. I'm the chapter director of Startup Grind, and I'm really glad that you're all here. So, before we get started, I want to invite you to go to slido.com, SLIDO.com, and put a hashtag SGCY. And within this platform, we're going to be asking you questions, so it's interactive. You can go with your mobile phones and answer questions. It's just slido.com, put the code, and we're going to ask you questions. The first question that we asked on Slido is, how familiar are you with NFTs? So if you go to Slido and answer this question, I will get the results here, so I can shape this interview to the preference of the audience. So if you have many people knowing a lot about NFTs, we're going to talk more depth in NFTs. If we have more people just interested in finding out, we can shape our interview. And let's get started. Hi, gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to Startup Grind 11.
Thank you for having us.
Please quickly introduce yourself so we can get to the good stuff.
Okay, my name is Panayiotis. I've been living in Cyprus for 16 years now. I'm a special scientist at the University of Cyprus. And yeah, as a hobby, I enjoy doing things like this. NFTs, awesome.
Eric?
Hi everyone, thanks for coming, by the way, especially those of you who came from another city. I really appreciate it. I'm Eric Georgiades. I'm also co-founder of Oi Kattoi, or as we call it now in English, Cats of Cyprus, NFT. By day, I'm a CTO of an American startup, so I'm really a programmer, and by night, I spend endless hours on Discord, either programming smart contracts and talking to some of you who already know me from that space, or involving with other crypto projects, which maybe we'll talk about today.
Excellent. So, as some of you know that you came to our previous event, my first question of my guest is that, what was your first entrepreneurship, one second. Get a little feedback here, there we go. So, the first question I always ask for my guests is, what was your first entrepreneurship experience in your life? Doesn't matter how young you were, doesn't matter how small what you did was, we just want to get to know you a bit more personally. So, please,
okay.
What can you think about?
Well, first entrepreneurship experience, I would have to say, probably when I was very, very young. My father had a farm in South Africa. So basically I would pick some of the fruits, literally go with a basket on the side of the road, and I would go sell them. So this was like a very, very early experience, in a very strange way, actually. Yeah, so this is something that comes very, very early in my life. I mean, just understanding, oh, okay, there's something I've got to do here with buying and selling.
Excellent. Eric?
It's going to sound like a scam.
Did you run the Ponzi scam?
When I was a kid at school, we had, I was like 7 or 8, we had these little bouncing balls, plastic ones. And I figured that it was a craze, everyone was buying them. Craze, now I'm talking about NFTs. And I bought a whole bunch of them and I was selling them for double their price. So I bought little bouncing balls. I was selling them for £1 Cyprus pound and I was buying them for 50 cents. And a lot of the kids at school were like, we know you can buy this for 50 cents. I'm like, yeah, but I've got them here at school right now. So yeah, okay. That was yesterday, no, I was kidding.
So you were flipping bouncing balls.
I was flipping bouncing balls.
There we go. Before we get to our questions, I've got some answers from you. So basically from the answers, we have 45% of the audience saying they own at least one NFT. So I was not expecting that. 35% they say I am familiar, but I don't own one. 20% say I just heard about them, and 0% said they never heard of them. And I'm glad that's the number here. So, for the 20 to 30% of the people that are here, can you quickly explain what are NFTs?
Yeah. All right. So, what is an NFT? NFT stands for non-fungible token. It is a token on a blockchain, such as Ethereum or Solana, and typically the word non-fungible means it's non-changeable. And typically you have got a digital asset which is represented as a token, and that token is solely owned by the person that either minted it or has purchased it.
Maybe on an insight on a more non-technological aspect, it is a collectible, just like any collectible, like a stamp or a piece of art, that in this day and age we've managed to create hype without having to wait for 50 years for this collectible to become an antique, or something that your grandfather kept and is now in a little box in the attic. So it's the energy of people collecting things, digital stuff, whatever you might think it is, audio, video, picture, but it's this amazing energy that everyone pushes to get this hype up in weeks, maybe even days, instead of years.
Someone says we can't hear you.
Testing 1, 2.
Let's see. That would not be good if they can't hear us.
What's the deal with the picture? Why is it a GPG or something like that?
It's a good question. We're going to have to let the host
Go for
give
it.
you the
Until I find out what's going on with this.
Like the technical answer is that I'm going to give a short one. On the blockchain, you're storing a piece of text, and one of the attributes is a URL, which means it points to an image, and you can serve the image. But it doesn't have to be an image. It can be any little piece of code, and that code is called a smart contract. NFT just happens to be a smart contract that delivers a URL, which has some metadata, which means you can show an MP3 or something.
You own the URL.
You own the piece of code that cannot be changed, and it so happens inside it to have a URL of an image.
So, let's talk about your NFT project, because as I understood, Cats of Cyprus, or Oi Kattoi, is that correct? Is one of the first NFT projects in Cyprus, which was widely known by a lot of people that I talked to. So you kind of made a buzz in Cyprus about your NFT project. So what are the Cats of Cyprus? What is behind Cats of Cyprus?
First, I just want to make a shout out and a clarification, because we get this a lot. In the NFT space of Cyprus, there are other projects by Cypriot founders, which are NFTs, that were before us. So we're not really the first NFT by Cypriot founders, but we're definitely the first NFT that is targeted for Cyprus, so like Cypriot NFT. And that being said, maybe I'll give a little bit on
All right. Well,
what are the cats.
I think, firstly, I'd like to start with exactly how did we get here, all right? So what's our story behind the Cats of Cyprus? Me and Eric met during an event, actually for Helium, another crypto project. Got to know each other and, of course, became friends. looking at some of the other NFT projects and realizing there was a market in Cyprus, there was a market actually all around the world for NFTs, and looking at what was actually being advertised in Cyprus, what was being basically promoted and advertised, there wasn't really anything about NFTs. So we thought this is an excellent opportunity to start teaching what's an NFT in Cyprus. The thing is, when you just hear the word NFT and you hear even worse, non-fungible token, it's a bit difficult to understand, well, what is this thing? And a lot of people initially didn't actually really understand what this was. And of course, Eric was there with the TikToks, what's an NFT, blah, 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 basically trying to get some content out there about what's an NFT. So the Cats of Cyprus, for me, initially, was a thing to learn about NFTs in depth myself. In other words, programming the smart contracts, programming it on the blockchain, etc. And then the second thing for me personally was being able to teach others. So one of the things I like to do in life is teaching, is actually tutoring others about new technologies, as well as basically giving my knowledge to them with what I have learned throughout my life experiences. So this is one of the things that really drove it for me. And I think if you look at the project in whole, I think we've managed to create a community of over 1,000 people on our Discord and another 500 on our Twitter account. And I think in a matter of about 4 weeks, and that is substantial in such a short period of time.
In 4 weeks?
Yeah. 4 weeks.
Wow. That's not easy. That's not easy.
The story began because when we met, and I noticed that Panayiotis was trading NFTs, we both had bad experiences. We were both rugged. And people took our money and just disappeared. I told him, listen, if I need to find an NFT project that is not anonymous, that those people are doxed, that we know who they are. So we said, why don't we make our own and just, put our faces there, we both have complex careers. I was like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it honest and transparent. And we'll put our faces there, get people to know us so they know that we're not going to take their money and leave. And, Panayiotis was all for it, especially that whole honest, transparent kind of attitude. And I think that's what attracted newcomers to this NFT space, because most of these projects are scams. A majority, I don't know, I was reading the other day, it's like 95% of these projects are just created, because you can make it so easily, are scams. And we wanted to make sure that people investing in us are doing it for a good cause, or legitimately could make some money.
Why cats?
Why cats? Well, funny story now. Eric told me, well, we need to do something that's Cypriot, that shows the Cypriot character. And the first thing he said is, well, let's do donkeys. Yeah? I think people can relate. So the next thing is, my wife says, well, look at the cats. Why don't you do the Cats of Cyprus? So this is an idea, so credit to my wife. She came up with the idea about the cats. And we actually took that a step further, and we said, well, if we're doing this about the cats, we've got to do a charity. And we actually put that on the first thing on our roadmap is, well, if we're doing this, we're doing it for charity.
So there's always a woman behind a great idea.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Excellent. And so you mentioned that it took you 4 weeks to gather 1,000, not gather, but to get 1,000 community members. How long did it take you to develop the project, to get it to that point so that you launch?
Let's break it down. So around the 15th of December. Last year, so just a few months ago, we decided that we're going to start the project. We have 2 projects. We do have the donkeys and the cats. And we have 2 artists, which we've never met Sotiris before, but we don't know where he is. Oh, okay. We've not met our artist yet.
Welcome to 2022.
So yeah, shout out to Poskul. If he's not too shy, we'll bring him on. I think he is. Yes. Now you can go hide. So we decided that, we need the art done. And I wanted to do it during the period that people were on leave. So, 1st of Jan until the 6th of Jan. Put a lot of pressure on both the artists. Both of them didn't sleep because of us. Whoops. So we coded it within a week's time. But it was really funny because while we were coding it, the tools that we were using were changing. The day we went to test it, everything changed. Nothing worked. The day we went to mint, nothing worked for anybody worldwide. So Solana was down, Metaplex was down, everything wasn't working. It took us, let's say it took us like 72 hours of programming to get it to work. But we're experienced programmers. However, it doesn't mean that, there's 17-year-olds doing it out there within a day. The technology is easy. That's the beauty about modern technology. But of course, the artwork, maybe Sotiris can tell us. The artwork is the hard part, right? He had to draw all of these things. We gave him complete freedom. But imagine if we had to critique every single thing he's doing, like what we're doing now for the next project.
If I have to walk you through the actual process of creating an NFT, so as Eric has said, the artwork is the first thing. And you'll notice that the art is some basic foundations, such as the background, the type of the eyes, or whatever jewelry they might be wearing, or the clothing, or if they got some, sunglasses, what have you. So all of these are actual different layers in an image. And we actually utilized a program that we could mix up these layers, give specific weights, give specific randomness to these layers, and actually create the digital asset, which is, at the end of the day, a JPEG. Now, what happens afterwards is you need to then be able to create your smart contract on the blockchain, which basically enables you to do what's called minting. And minting an NFT actually means that you're taking a token and you're actually creating a token from this. You're taking the contract, you're creating a token from this. And that token will be a specific NFT that we initially uploaded. We specifically chose that, okay, we're uploading 2,222 NFTs, and when somebody goes to mint, randomly they will get one of those 2,222 images. Now, with that image, there is also metadata. That metadata is basically those attributes in those images. So where you've you've got a golden background, you're wearing glasses, golden teeth, what have you. Now, all of these are the attributes within the NFT, and that's represented as part of the actual token. Now,
it defines the rarity of the...
It defines the rarity, and it defines how valuable, it defines who created it. Mm-hmm. It defines, I think anything related to royalties, who created it, all of the layers utilized, and of course you can calculate the rarity from that. Mm. After you go ahead and you've minted it, and you actually paid some money to mint this, you will see it coming up in your wallet. So your crypto wallet, such as MetaMask or Phantom Wallet. And after this point, you own that NFT. That digital asset, that token, like any other crypto token, belongs to you from that point on. Mm-hmm. Nobody can modify it, change it, delete it, or do something else with it. So that belongs to you, and you've got sole control over what happens with that digital asset from there on end.
Mm-hmm. So obviously behind every NFT project there's a utility. Mm-hmm. That is a big part of the decision making. Is a big part of decision making of the buyer or the minter. You mentioned that one of your utility is the charity behind the NFTs. Do you have other utilities behind your NFT project?
Yeah. But first, just maybe a small sentence on what a utility is. People buying an NFT are mostly buying it for one reason only, and that's I mean, it's like addressing the elephant in the room. People don't really buy NFT because of the art that it represents, maybe sadly. because it's not what people got into it in the first place. They get into it because they see a possible financial instrument that they can profit on. And there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, NFTs have been profitable for a lot of people. So we decided that while we're giving a charitable foundation, we're trying to save cats of Cyprus. And we managed to raise 4,000 euros for cats to be part of this TRAP mutual return program. We also gave 7,500 euros back. So the people pay us to mint. We put all that money in a treasury and we just put it back out there. So very little money came in our pockets, which we've already spent on marketing. And that's the idea, is that we're just trying to recycle people's money to help the activity and volatility of the project so they can actually start making money back. And that's sweeping the floor and all of these kind of NFT world phrases.
So far, we've swept the floor twice. I think we swept 34 and then 36. I think we spent a total of about 3,000 from that 7.5 budget. So if anyone actually wants, they can get onto our Discord. They can actually find the contracts. They can actually find the wallets, and they can actually see where the money went and how it went.
And that's the beauty,
of blockchain.
That's the beauty of the blockchain, and that's the beauty of actually being transparent about what you're doing. So one of the NFT projects that we were both invested in fact, I bought over 40 NFTs from that project, and NFTs are not cheap.
No, they're not.
Now, unfortunately, that project was really just a total rug pull where the founders there, it seemed to me and it seemed to everyone else in that community that those founders, all they wanted to do was get the mint, get the money and get out. Now, that sort of experience is a bad experience. And this is not the sort of experience that people should be having in this industry and in the space, NFTs, crypto in general. But it does happen, and it happens quite often, unfortunately. So a bit of advice for people out there is when you are going to invest in an NFT project, do your homework, understand who's behind the project, understand what the project's about, go to the website, speak to other people that know about the project as well. Perhaps go ahead and look at the actual contracts that they've created for those projects, if you understand how to do that. And if you don't, reach out to someone that actually does and see that it is actually legit.
What he said is really important, right? Because the whole concept of blockchain is all about security. And so it gives a false sense of security because people feel, oh, this is more secure in my bank. It's not more secure. Inside the blockchain, it's secure. But what happens and what people are using it for, it doesn't matter how secure the system is. If someone's going to scam you out of their money, once you've given it to them, and of course the beauty of blockchain comes now, it's super anonymous. People can just create a wallet and disappear. So they take advantage of this false sense of security, anonymity, privacy, speed of transaction, and just take the money and go. And nobody can refund you, right? Nobody can say, oh, give that money back. It's one way, it's done.
The technology is, the tech itself is secure, obviously blockchain. It can't be modified and it can't be tempered. But is the way that, first of all, how a value is perceived can be a scam. You can sell something, you can say this has a value of XXX, but it has no value of that. So there's one part, yeah.
Let me say, that NFT that I bought 40 copies of, 40 NFTs, 40 assets, I own those assets. Those assets are in my wallet. I've got them there. But the problem is, what was promised is not what was delivered. What was promised, yes, it's an NFT, but it's the utility behind that NFT. The utility for that specific NFT was something like, yes, you'll get an airdrop of a specific token. Yes, you will get access to a specific game before anyone else, and you'll be able to use these NFTs in that game. There will be a demand for this NFT for aftermarket buying and selling. So for me, it was a financial decision to say, well, yes, this looks like a good opportunity. In fact, the developers at that stage were interactive in the beginning, and then sometime in the future they just faded out and disappeared. Now, that's where you've got to be careful because it's not that easy sometimes to spot this sort of thing. But at the end of the day, those NFTs are still mine. The artwork is still mine. So I can put it up for sale even if no one's interested to buy it. Someone may like the art at the end of the day and they might still get it. So it may not be a total loss in that sense. But what was promised was utility, what was not delivered, and that's why it's a rug pull. Not because they could steal the NFT or they could change it or do anything else with it. The fact is, it's in your wallet. You've got the private keys to that wallet. You're the one that controls what happens to that token. Unless you press the approve button, no one can take that away from you.
But, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because in real art, you never buy a painting and complain to the artist that you can't sell it. Right? This is the world we live in.
Is the over-promising part of it, like there are some projects that they promised something really huge, which they can just promise something smaller and stay with that promise and not make anyone angry, but they promise something really huge for the hype, they can't deliver, and then the project goes to...
And of course, because of all the hype, their promises are implied. People don't even say a promise anymore. It's implied that you're going to go to the moon. We're all going to make it. It's implied that everyone's going to make money. And any toxic behavior that goes against that is disintegrated immediately. Not even by the founders, but the community would say, "Oh, you can't say that." There's this energy of positivity that people just want to make money. And even Panayiotis just said now, I bought 40 of them and I expected this and this. Whether people explicitly said you're going to make money with this utility or not, that's the energy that we're getting. That's the expectation. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. But you got to know that, high risk, high reward kind of thing.
Yes. Just to let everybody know here, the topics that we're going to cover today is, first of all, get to know the project of Cats of Cyprus, which we're going through it now. Later on, I'm going to be asking some question about how to get started with NFTs, because I noticed some of the audience that they registered and got tickets, they were artists, they were business devs, and they emailed me. They look like they're interested to start their own project. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Web3, and then we have a networking event afterwards, Q&A first of all, and then networking event after all that. We can enjoy the wine and cheese that we brought. Okay, so Eric, you mentioned something that you spent some of the budget that you had on marketing. How did you market Cats of Cyprus? What was your strategy?
We quickly found out that marketing NFTs is unlike any other marketing modern day marketing is you pay for Facebook ads, pay for Google ads. That's not how you market NFTs, apparently. And there's really one way to do it. And it's the convergence of how people do it, that there's no other way to do it. You pay an influencer, someone who's an NFT promoter, to promote your NFT. Because people are watching that space for the NFT that is going to succeed. And this convergence of all these energies, people don't go for an NFT unless a lot of people have eyes on it. Because they know that the financial instrument works with supply and demand. So everyone looks at the same space, and that space is Twitter. Everyone stares at Twitter and stares at specific accounts that they follow, and they wait for that particular influencer to hype that one project so that everyone can concentrate that buying power together. And people have figured this out. So they don't want the NFT that they hear from word of mouth. They want the NFT that's got 222,000 retweets on Twitter, because they know that if some of that translates into buying power and I get there in early, I'll be able to continue selling this over and over, because I know that there's a massive demand for it. So the NFT promotion is pretty much paying promoters. And we found some really good promoters, and we were clueless. So it was funny for us, because well, how much do you want for one tweet? They got like 10,000 euros. Like, so one tweet? You're just going to click this retweet button? Yeah, 10,000. If you want it for 3 days, 50,000. We're like, maybe we need to ask someone else. Yeah. And that's what they do. That's how they earn a living. Sorry, it's called a living.
Yeah. So on the Gatti project, the advertising was it was interesting, because on the one end, you have to get hold of the promoters, the NFT promoters on Twitter. And it's not the easiest thing. Why? Because I'm sure there's 100,000 people trying to contact them. And then they come back to you and they give you a ridiculous price. You say, well, I can't afford that. I can't do this. What do you do after this? What we did is we networked within Cyprus. We networked advertising ourselves, saying, hey, we're doing this NFT project, come support us. And guess what? Get your friends to support us as well. And in our NFT project, I feel that a lot of the people that have joined us is because of organic networking. I don't feel that we have had a huge influx of people from paid promoters. To be honest, we didn't spend that much on the paid promoters. Most of what was spent on the paid promoters, I think probably got about 150.
We got scammed
probably,
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
so most of that was just...
Yeah, probably about 150 people came on board from that. And then you realize, well, these guys that came on board from that, because you can actually track how people come to your Discord, weren't being active, weren't actually around.
Yeah, they were bots.
They were probably bots.
And we've pruned them. We removed them, so our number looks more legitimate. Even though it would be nice to show a bigger number, we made the decision, and whoever's inactive just disappears.
So when looking at the actual promotion for Gatti, I feel, and I actually see it from the communications, from people knowing each other, that we have had a very nice organic growth.
I really like your approach of marketing, and I think since we're a startup grind and we're about entrepreneurship, any entrepreneurship event, any startup entrepreneurship movement or startup company that you start, it's better to go for a smaller pie, but the whole pie. So what you've done, from my eyes, is that you went for mostly the Cypriot community, which is in your reach, but you went for the whole. You went for the entire island, and you use the people within the community, use your let's say nationality, use your connection, use your network to have this effect of let's say referrals coming in, joining, and you focused on Cyprus. So your focus, from my perspective, is.
And from the marketing side, what we actually said to people is that, well, in order to be able to get early on the mint, you need to be able to bring in 10 of your friends. And we would actually track how many friends each person brought to our Discord. So Discord, if you don't know what that is, it's a communication platform similar to like Teams, if you know Microsoft Teams.
Or Slack.
Yeah. It's basically an online platform where you can actually just create a community, typically gaming, NFTs, this sort of thing, and you can actually engage with people directly there. Now, what we had actually done is we had offered, firstly, anyone that gets into the whitelist gets an airdrop of the NFT. So, number one, you're getting a free NFT, which is awesome. And number two, you're getting on the whitelist, which means that you've got some benefits to be on our whitelist. So you'll see this happening in a lot of NFT projects where you get in, and the first thing you want to do is you want to get on that whitelist. After you've gotten on that whitelist, you want to basically stay active and actually make the project work. Make it work not only for yourself, but for the guys you brought in, your friends. So that's a very good organic way to grow. And I actually see that a lot of the people that came through our Discord, and I feel that those are organic, they are very, very active on the Discord and actually promoting their own ideas and giving suggestions. And I'm sure a lot of the guys here tonight are actually members as well from this Discord.
How many of you are from the Discord channel of Cats? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10? 10? Nice. So just let's pause here. I want you to explain some keywords that you mentioned now, so that for people that don't know what these keywords are, they get to know them. One is minting, one is whitelist, and the other one is these two, and then I'll remember the third one.
You want to take one? I do one?
Go for it.
Okay, I'll do minting.
M-I-N-T, minting.
Yes. Mint is, in Greek, nomismatokopisi, is the process by which you create a coin. If we were in that big place in La Casa de Babel, where they're all trying to steal all the money, where they print euros, that's what minting is, where you print a euro. In other words, you make value for the first time. And value is always as a perception. There's no such thing as value. When Panayiotis bought 40 other NFTs, he created value to them because he said, I'm willing to pay this amount for those 40. So he creates value in something. If everyone agrees that that thing is worth an X amount, then you create value. And the euro only has a value because people agree that they want to do that specific thing with a euro, that they can trade a bottle of water or coffee. So minting is the same part of the process as when you create a euro, except you create it in the digital world. So prior to the mint, there is no NFT. After the mint, there is an NFT. Now you might say, but don't you guys control the NFT? No, we don't. We utilize a smart contract, which is a piece of code that sits on a database called a blockchain that nobody can change. And we ask that smart contract to execute the code from the first line to the 100th line. And once it finishes that code, it generates an NFT and gives it to you. And then we charge that person to do that because, first of all, there are some fees, but also we exchange money in order to give financial value to the NFT. So minting is the first sale. Any other sale after the mint is usually referred to as secondary sale or secondary marketplace, like we've got Magic Eden or there's OpenSea.
And whitelist?
All right, so a whitelist is basically, as it says, it's a white list. The whitelist is a list of all the members that have joined your project and have met certain criteria that you've put forth, such as invite 10 members or send, 200 messages on our Discord. So it's an incentive for people. So it's really, at this point, a marketing gimmick to give people some benefit to join your project and actually engage within the project. It's not just enough to say, I've invited some people, 5 people, and that's it. No, I need 10 people, and I need them to actually engage. So you can actually track these statistics on saying, this person has sent out 200 messages, so his checkbox over there, he's invited 10 friends, checkbox, okay. So we give them a role on the server, and that role is a part of the whitelist role. Now, why would you want to get that whitelist is because you can get benefits. The reason that you went and did these actions is because I promised you something. I said, well, you're going to get an NFT, and I said, you're going to get in early.
Before the public sales.
Before the public sale.
And cheaper, most probably, as well.
Ours wasn't, but yeah.
Ours wasn't, because I was already so cheap.
Okay.
And we can actually discuss as to why we went with Solana versus Ethereum.
Is actually part of my questions, but the third keyword was airdrop.
Oh, okay.
So what is airdrop?
Just before that, what's important is people take whitelisting very serious. Some people who have nothing to do during COVID and sitting at home do it as a profession. They don't spend money. They get free NFTs and they sell them. Mm-hmm. Airdropping is the process by which we send an NFT. So it's airdrop because on the blockchain, when you have a wallet, just sitting there, anyone can put stuff in it without having for you to confirm it. And that's called an airdrop. And that's the process by which we send NFTs to our whitelist members. So what we do is we mint them on ourselves, and then we send them via airdrop.
Do you pay for the gas?
We pay, yeah, and we pay for the mint. But since the money comes back to us, technically it just goes round.
Okay.
But we're part of the same protocol and process.
So why did you choose Solana over Ethereum?
All right, so Ethereum is notoriously expensive in gas fees. So what's gas fees? Gas fees are the fees that you are charged in order to interact with the blockchain on Ethereum. So
transaction fees, yeah.
Transaction fee, but yes, they are in I think any industry, they are very, very high. How high? 100, 150, 200 euros, depending on the time of the day and the activity on the blockchain. A typical Ethereum transaction today probably costs somewhere around $80 to $120. So why didn't we use Ethereum? Because of the gas fees.
Gas fees.
Now, our aim for Igati, the Cats of Cyprus, was to market it and promote it in Cyprus in order to service the cause for donating funds for the Cats of Cyprus. So therefore, for us, this was important in order to have people being able to get in and not feeling that I'm spending so much money just on the fees. If you look at any serious NFT projects, the first go-to place is Ethereum. And it's on OpenSeas and it's on Ethereum, and you pay a lot of money. Now, when you come and you see an NFT project on Solana, Solana is one of the fastest growing blockchains today, and they are advancing at a phenomenal rate. They are 2 years old, and I think they are the 13th position now by market cap on the rankings of crypto. So looking at how quickly they've advanced and the amount of attention they have gotten in the NFT space, it's phenomenal. So our best options, according to us, was we're either going to use Ethereum or we're going to use Solana. We're using Solana. Why? Because of the good fees, very, very cheap fees, around about €2 to mint, when compared to 100 or 80, depending on the time of the day. So that was the main driving factor. And then, as I said, this was our first NFT project. And for us, don't get me wrong, this was a learning experience for both of us. And we have learned quite a lot throughout this journey. From a technical perspective, there are some amazing tools available for Solana minting, for creating the web page, and being able to easily get the NFT project up and running in a matter of a couple of days, a week, depending on how many hours you're prepared not to sleep.
I went through your website and I went through the timeline. I saw at one point of your project, maybe a little bit in the future, you will run a DAO for your community governance, right? And you're going to get most of the decision making from the community that happens in your project. So how are you using a DAO? And by the way, DAO is decentralized autonomous organization, which means everybody that is participating within that organization has, depending on the contract, has a voting power, they have their profit sharing, and many other aspects for DAOs. So how are you using DAOs in your...
It's first of all, it's really interesting. I'm obsessed with behavioral science. So I love seeing how a socio-economical world can play in a small group of people buying images of cats. Maybe that's a topic of another conversation. So what is a DAO? We made a little community. We have people on Discord. People are active and they have strong opinions. Some of them probably more active on NFTs than we are. So what we did is we gave them voting power. Now, we didn't completely give away all the rights of the voting power. We explicitly said in the beginning of the project, you'd be able to choose specific things. Like you'd choose what we do with the NFTs that we sweep. In other words, ones that we buy back with the money that we got in the mint. Or we get to choose which charity we give this 4,000 euros to if we get to split in that. So we created, it's not on-chain, but it's partially on-chain. We created on our website the ability for you to connect your wallet. It counts the NFTs in your wallet, and it contributes more votes to in other words, the weight of the vote is based on the number of NFTs you hold. Although we did some votes which are one per holder. And this way, the community felt that they could participate, that this is theirs and it's not ours. And indeed, it's not ours. If you told me, shut this project down today, I'd literally tell you I can't. There's nothing I can do anymore. I am but a community member. However, I do influence, so I have to be very careful. As an influencer, I don't want to give a bias towards something, because people believe that I am ultimately the most knowledgeable person in the field, which is completely wrong. I'm probably one of the very few, because I only just started this, I'm just on the other side. But there's a power relationship being on the other side. You know, people think that you know more and you should do more. And the beauty of the DAO is that you're saying, well, you guys decide. And it's interesting to see those votes take place. Because in reality, if we broke down our governance model that we have in society, and we said everyone gets to vote, there will be utter chaos. I mean, make no mistake about it. It's not something you can relinquish control completely. And not just because of IQ, but mostly because of people not being participant in that active structure and voting. You know, we're not experts in how to build a road, so we wouldn't be able to vote how much money should go into road building. But in our DAO governance, without having people on note, because in other governments, they choose leaders, and they say you're the spokesman, and they create a bigger governing community. We just had a flat voting. It was very interesting to see. And then what we did is we canceled the vote. We said, okay, let's do some more live chats, because people wanted to talk about it. And I thought that was super cool, because that took me back to how the first government, first socio-economical circle was created. Let's say in ancient Greece, where they had the Delphi, and they had this amphitheaters, and people would just talk and talk and talk. Of course, again, there was abuse of power there, different topic, another conversation. But it's nice to see how, like, the end result of the vote is something that might be random, because we had no influence on it. Well, and I have a friend telling me, by the way, all the time, it's wrong, they should have voted something else, and this and that. I told him, don't you see, that's the beauty of it. They got to choose what they wanted. And since they're the ones, they're the ones that paid for it, they should choose where their money goes and what happens with it.
And the thing is as well, when we did form the DAO, in order to be part of the DAO and in order to be part of the conversation, you need to own one of the NFTs. You need to own Igati. If you do not own it, you are automatically removed from the DAO. If you purchase one, you need to verify that you've purchased it, and there's a process for that. And once you've followed that process, you can get onto our Discord, and you can actually get into some special channels, which is specifically only for the DAO. And there is a lot of interesting conversations. So when we give an idea out, or someone gives us an idea, you see a lot of dialogue within that channel, and people are exploding with ideas, what to do, what not to do, why should we do it, why shouldn't we do it. And at the end of the day, our job now is just as a facilitator. It's literally there just to say, yep, there's the vote, it's online, go ahead and vote. Yep, the vote is closed, here's the results. Okay.
People are so passionate.
Now let's take action as to what was voted. So at this point, we are simply facilitators. The people that are actually making the decisions are the owners of Igati.
Basically a government job, but done correctly.
Yeah, that's it.
So, again, on your website, I read about club membership. Can you tell me about your future plans of club membership?
So what happened was we decided to create an incentive to thrust buying power onto the project. So we create a scaled roadmap, meaning that the mint will be on a particular date for a particular time, not open-ended. And if a specific number of NFTs were minted, we would perform that roadmap. So it wasn't a guaranteed utility. We gave an ultimatum. And the reason why we did this is because we thought that, we can't deliver a promise. Like, I can't say we're going to give 10,000 euros to charity if we don't raise 10,000 euros. So some of those were unfeasible without doing so. One of the roadmap features we had, which was not unlocked, was this club membership. And because we're very strict, we don't want to give it away. We don't want to activate it just because, we want to say, we didn't reach this goal, so we can't do it. It would have been the ability to trade cats for donkeys. And a lot of people were disappointed that we didn't reach that. But like I said, when people bought into it, they bought a lot, hoping that they will reach that amount. I can't make it reach anyway and make all the efforts they had futile of trying to get to that roadmap. So what we did do is we came up with a new roadmap, new utility after the fact, to make sure that what they held, what the precious NFTs that they bought with their money, does get some future buying power. And what we think we came up with is actually better than the initial idea. So that's maybe part of your questions, but it's 2 more NFTs after the first one.
I see.
Yeah, so there's the reveal, and I think a lot of our Discord members know it already. We are developing another 3 projects, actually. We will be developing the Cats of Cyprus, but in a female version. And I would actually like to discuss I don't know if it's a problem within the NFT space or in the crypto space in general, where the involvement of women is very limited. And you can actually see it from statistics, published statistics, and as well in real life. I mean, we're on our Discord, we can see how many people are actively engaging that are male and that are not, that are female. So we probably have got a 80% male towards female ratio. And this is not something that we want. We want to be able to have fair opportunity for everyone within the space. And in fact, the second project we are doing is the female Cats of Cyprus, Georgiades. Now, this project, we're actually involving some of the community members to help us with the art and the way that they perceive it to be more attractive to them. Now,
Well, first of all, it's my fault that the Gatti are only attracted to males. My wife.
How's that?
Well, I influenced, I told Sodiris, it has to be Topuzo Kypreos. For those who know what that means, it means it's the way that in slang you tease the local Cypriot. I'm Cypriot, so I can say this, no offense. So it's when you behave like a typical Cypriot. But in typical, obviously, it's a negative association of things that shouldn't be done so. But it's nothing bad. It's just, behaviorism. But all of that is a male behavior, right? If you look at our cats, you'll identify that is a Cypriot male, right? He's either smoking or he's cooking, but he doesn't cook anything but, on the barbecue, or, and the things that he wears and does, and the things that he's interested in soccer, and the things that he drinks in beer and all of that stuff. I mean, when my wife saw the cat, the only thing she said is, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Why are this? And she doesn't identify with it. But every Cypriot male who's bought it, and maybe I can say every, because I haven't had a negative comment about it, they laugh and they identify. They're like, nere file, or psistis, or this or that. And they identify with that. So we thought, well, we've accidentally only attracted a male audience. And it was unfair. We got some comments, I'm not going to say from who, they're in the audience. So we thought more feminine, right?
How are you going to do that?
So,
like, what is the female version of the idea you did for Cats of Cyprus?
well, they don't have to be exact, do they? So, I don't know. When I think about Cypriot female, I'm certainly not thinking about Topuzo Kypreos. So we're not doing that. Instead, we are getting inputs from the community members.
Excellent.
In order to actually get something that is attractive to them. So hopefully, with that input and with all the artwork, of course, from our artists over here, so it's going to turn out amazing.
Yeah, the males of the community don't know this, but there's a secret channel where we've invited a select number of active female members to give input. Because we, correctly so, can't just tell Sodiris what it should be. I mean, if you see the chat between me and Sodiris, you should not see how we envisioned the first female cat. My wife came and looked at it and she said, you can't be like a human. You can't, no, that's not how it's going to be. We're like, okay, forget it. We're not doing this.
Use the community.
Ask the women who know better.
You should see the result. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The final result, well, maybe not final, but very, very close to it. It's actually quite amazing. And I was like, wow, okay. Yep, we should have done this. This is the right way to do it.
Also, the whole initiative, the whole project for what we call version 2, but it's basically the female Cats of Cyprus, the Georgiades. The TNR program, Trap Neuter Return, is about neutering female cats. And every veterinarian that I've spoken to and every expert on the field knows that we have a problem in Cyprus. And the TNR program targets females. While there's still neutering done for males, it's more important to address the problem that there are feral cats in Cyprus, females who have uncontrolled births and have too many cats, kittens, and the problem with kittens is if they have too many, a lot of them die because they can't be nourished. So the whole aspect of the Female Cats of Cyprus is a charitable fund to directly help saving cats of Cyprus. And since the ones that we're targeting are female cats, we decided we'll draw a female cat and then also try and lure in a non-male-only audience.
Round of applause for Cats of Cyprus. You guys done a great job.
Thank you.
So, again, I would invite you to go to Slido. I'm going to publish the second poll, which says, do you have a crypto wallet? And from the previous votes that we had, let me just see the results here. So, the previous question, 20 people answered, and the numbers, the percentages are the same as we said. So we have half of the audience owning an NFT. Also, we fixed the audio from way before, so
hello,
it's fine.
welcome.
So Slido.com, and the hashtag is SGCY. Please go there, and you can answer the poll, and we get the results so we can share it with everybody. Wow, already 20 votes in less than a minute. 89% own a crypto wallet.
Very good.
90%, let's say.
Yeah.
So, let's go to our second segment of tonight, which is getting started with NFTs in Cyprus. So this section is targeted for people from Cyprus, projects that start from Cyprus. And my first question is it too late for NFTs?
Can I ask you a question? Are you addressing which audience? Those who want to start an NFT as a business owner or commercially owning, trading, purchasing? Or do you want us to discuss both?
Both.
Okay.
I don't have the preference.
Is it too late? Well, it's moving so fast, right? The world record of NFT sales is still being broken. So people, are saying particular crypto punks, crypto chicks and Bored Ape Yacht Club and whatever. Those records are still being broken, which means there's still massive buying power. But it's moving so fast, I would say it's dangerously close every day to assume that it might be getting too late. My personal opinion is that people love fads and they love something, but if something else is given to them, they might jump on that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not blaming the NFT for potentially being a bubble that will explode. I'm mostly saying that all of this buying power could convert to something else extremely fast. And this is the world we live in right now. Things move rapidly fast. And we've seen that with crypto, we've seen that with projects. Things happen faster and faster. I don't think it's too late. I think it's a wonderful time when cryptocurrency and purchasing power is high because everything is low in price. But surely I can't predict if, let's say 2022 is the end of this craze of NFTs.
To be honest, to me, it seems like the start.
For me as well.
So I don't see that NFT projects are slowing down. In all respects, they are taking off like a rocket ship. I mean, so many new projects every single day are popping up left, right, and center. Specifically in Cyprus, we know of at least 4 NFT projects that have already launched. We know of another 4 or 5 that are wanting to launch as well. And actually people are contacting us to say, could you help us with this or could you help us with that? So I do see that there is an appetite for NFTs in Cyprus. And I think there is an appetite for people to get involved. So you're looking at NFTs, it's still very, very early. I think NFTs was first created was it 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And from that point, there wasn't really that much activity until CryptoPunks. So once CryptoPunks happened, so if you don't know what CryptoPunks is, it is one of the most expensive NFTs to date. So I don't know what the latest numbers are, probably in the couple of millions that the latest NFTs have been sold off CryptoPunks. Now, just a fun fact, NFTs of CryptoPunk was actually auctioned off at a live auction at Christie's Auctions in the UK. So this is something that there is a lot of hype, there's a lot of activity. I do not think that this is the end. This is just a start, and it's going to become bigger and bigger. We need to be careful, though, because anything that just blows up like this essentially is a bubble. Sometime this bubble can explode. So be careful about what you invest in and why you're investing in something.
Look, what's happening in Cyprus, though, I mean, it goes back to the title of this whole meetup, let's say, is the future of NFTs in Cyprus. Cyprus is absolutely exploding, and I mean exploding. Teachers in high school hyping up the students to create their first NFT project together. I know at least 3 groups of students. So if I know 3, I would imagine there must be a lot. And then how many people are contacting us to help them create an NFT? So just from those stats alone, I'm assuming...
It's wireless, so I can talk to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm assuming that there must be hundreds of people wanting to get in this NFT space. And I'm not talking about people consuming on the client side of buying NFTs. I'm talking about people who want to create NFTs. That buying power and that thought of being a business owner and starting your own NFT project is probably going to be in the thousands in Cyprus alone. And what we're seeing is the second wave, right? People seeing NFTs and being doubters, and then people seeing it and feeling FOMO, fear of missing out, and FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. And then their fear that they're not going to be early in the game. Now we get the second wave of those who have said, I was afraid before, but I've seen it being proven. And usually you need an actual year to pass. You need the number to change. It's a weird emotional, psychological thing. It worked in 2021. It's going to work in 2022. And now all of them come in. Unfortunately,
I think the statistic was that only 0.5 or 0.05% of the world population own an NFT.
It's absolutely tiny.
It's tiny.
And of course it is niche because it's easy to get into if you're into crypto. But we're talking about people who are not into crypto, people who don't know how to convert their fiat money, their euro, into digital money. And that's what we're pioneering in Cyprus, because we would like to educate people and help them with this, because we're strong believers that this is, yes, the future, but it's also an important trait to have today. For me, it's like teaching kids to use Excel. I would say this is a tool everyone needs to know, or let's say, dumb it down, to use email. Everyone needs to know how to use email. It doesn't matter what capacity you are or what age you are. It is a digital requirement to survive today. And that's what's happening with the digital wallet. Now, whether NFT is the principle of the application we'll be using in the future, I don't know. I love the idea. But you need to know crypto, and we want to educate Cyprus about that.
I was thinking about the next event for Startup Grind to have, and one idea that came up was a workshop, and a workshop for getting people started with crypto, like dummified, basic, zero to hero, getting started. By show of hands, is that something interesting for you? Doing a workshop about how to get started with crypto?
Yeah.
Would you join us for a workshop?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
love
Definitely.
education.
All right, so...
there is something
yes.
I wanted to add.
Sorry about that.
So within the NFT space, you'll see that there's 2 distinct type of NFT projects that are being launched. One is the collection type. So you look at Igati, you'll see that we've minted 969 NFTs as part of a collection. Now, for any of the artists out there that are interested into actually creating their own NFT, that do understand digital art, do understand how to create an image digitally, it is very easy to get onto a platform such as OpenSea and upload that image and actually mint your own NFT. It is expensive, it is not cheap, but once you've actually uploaded it and you believe that you've got real artwork that is unique and is really expressive, that artwork may appeal to other people as well as art. Okay, so you can actually go up onto OpenSea. You can actually upload that picture, that JPEG, whatever you created, and you can actually advertise it on OpenSea and actually put it up for sale. So any of the artists out there that want to get involved into doing that, go ahead and experience it.
Excellent. And if someone wants to get started from Cyprus, how difficult is it to target the global market? Because with cats, you targeted mostly Cyprus. Let's say someone wants to target globally, expand globally. What are the limitations and what are the challenges, and what is it possible?
I think what we did, which is not the norm in advertising and NFTs, like I said, I think what we did is the hard part. We had to pioneer and break into an audience that didn't know it. What Foodie did for Cyprus, why didn't Walt come to Cyprus or Delivery Hero before Foodie? Because there was an appetite for it. Someone had to break in and train, not the individuals, but the business owners. The Souvligis who's 75 years old and will refuse the technology. But breaking into a space, then you have a wave of people wanting to adopt it and use it. So we did the difficult part. If you want to do an NFT project, you want it to go global, you've got it super easy. Unfortunately, it's not free. You've got to find an influencer and convince them one way or another to advertise it. And it has to be an influencer in the NFT space. Again, you don't want to pioneer and address an audience that doesn't know it. You definitely want to help the industry and the people that do already know it, which is a bit of a shame. But unfortunately, that's how you get people to buy in and then make money by selling it. So yeah, find a promoter or an influencer of anything and get them to shill, which is the way that you basically advertise with the incentive that you're trying to gain personal gain from it.
I think you need a marketer, a digital marketer for this job. So
Let me add to that question. How can people make their first team? Who do they need to bring on board to their team?
Okay, so in order to actually create an NFT, you need the art. So obvious answer, first thing you need an artist. So shout out to Pascal.
He's going to hide any second now. Every time I point at him, he goes a little bit lower.
The next thing you need programmers, you need developers, you need someone that understands how to create it, how to create a smart contract, how to interact with the blockchain. Then, apart from just the technical aspects, you need now to think of, hey, I'm running a business. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to sell something. So what do I do in a normal business? I need to be able to financially manage that business. If I have a project that sells and brings in 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 euros or even more, what do I do with that money? So I'm a 17-year-old kid that just received this money. What do I do with this? Because that's the reality. You need to understand how to manage finances. You need to understand how to market it. So you probably need a proper marketeer, digital marketer. And I would actually say that finding an influencer and posting it, getting him to post or retweet, what have you, is one way. But if you're really looking to make something a success, you need to have a strategy behind that. And not just here, shill, sell, goodbye, That's more like
long-term strategy. Yeah.
You need a long-term strategy on how to manage that business. If you're looking at a project such as the Bored Ape Yacht Club, that project has progressively being sold out at more expensive and more expensive and more expensive. So the amount of money and turnover that's actually going through them is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And imagine the guys that created it, not being able to understand how to manage those finances and manage this business. Because at the end of the day, having an NFT project like this essentially becomes a sort of business.
You know what's really interesting is that there's only one motivation, one driving factor for the marketing, and that's hype. There's nothing else to it, only hype. So you have to create hype out of thin air. And it's amazing how much energy there's out there for people that are already hyped before you do anything at all. You just say NFT and they're hyped. But marketing is not about hyping people. Marketing is about getting the people who could be interested in your project to know about your project. It's putting it in front of their faces. But because it's associated with hype, most people do crazy things. So it's the most untraditional marketing you've ever seen, right? Using New York's Times Square, the world's biggest advertising space, arguably the worst place you could put an advert for anything, because there's very few people that see that particular 8 seconds that you pay $1 million for or something. So few people, but the virality of the fact that you got there, you advertise the fact that you advertised. This is the world we live in.
I think University of Nicosia did that.
Yeah, University of Nicosia did that, and that is an absolutely amazing achievement, because that's the bragging rights you've got. You're like, I advertised there because I could do that. And this is the meta advertising, let's call it. It's not even advertising, it's advertising how crazy your project is. The guy who did a selfie every day of his life, and the 13-year-old girl who managed to draw a few things and upload them herself. These are the crazy hype stories that people buy into.
The girl that sold her farts in the jar. You never heard that?
No.
So
I don't know what website you go into.
It was next to the guy with the, or maybe not. So how do you price your NFT? You created a collection. What would you put for your minting price, for your public sales? How would you price it?
I think we addressed the price in Solana on the average price a project goes for in that space. Solana is known for the cheap NFTs because the gas fees are super cheap. So the majority of small first-time projects were at 0.15 Solana. And we chose to ride the same wave. We definitely didn't want to burn people by overpromising because we had no idea how this was going to perform.
What's the average in Ethereum?
So the average in Ethereum is a casino of tables. There's the blackjack table for 50 cents, and it goes and goes and goes because there's such a vast audience for it. And people who want to play seriously go to the poker chips table that minimum stake is $5,000. So there's every single price you can imagine on it. But the majority of them are more expensive than the gas fees, which implies that the majority of them will start at 100 euros and above. We didn't want to do anything that would break the bank. I know for version 2, we know that to neuter a cat, you need 40 euros. That's what the vets charge. So we want to make this one-to-one association, that you're paying 40 euros, you get to neuter a cat, and we're going to give that 40 euros for the cat, 100%
Smart.
charity. So that's where we're pricing version 2. Version 1, we tried to be cheap.
And I'm going to merge two of my questions into one. First of all, how do you make a community, global community, for your NFT projects? What are some essential steps? And also, how do you show to your community that you're in it for long term?
So the way that we decided to show our community that we're in it for the long term is to actually get out and say, this is me. A lot of the projects are anonymous. We chose to advertise our personal selves, who we are. So in a way, doxing ourselves. And of course, coming up here on Startup Grind and speaking out about the project, saying, yes, we're the founders, yes, we're the ones that did it, and here's the proof, yeah? It is the thing of creating trust. Creating trust so that people understand who you really are, like any other business. Do you go and invest in a business that you don't even know who the CEO is, who's the shareholders, the majority shareholders of the company? Probably not. You need to know what company you're investing in. And the way I see the NFTs today is that you're investing in a company, you're investing in a project. So therefore, in order to be able to invest in it, you need to form trust with that project. So this is the major thing for me when it comes to getting people to understand and being invested in your project.
Any advice from you?
So do you want to repeat the last part of the question about how to address a global audience?
Is to how to create a community globally and also how to show that you're in it for long term.
Okay, the first part of the question, funny enough, there's a convergence on one particular marketplace. So it's kind of like everyone knows that if you want to buy online, you go to Amazon. That convergence helps people put stuff to be sold stuff. So just like there's OpenSea, which is the most popular marketplace for NFTs, there's a lot of websites that list upcoming drops. Well, one definite thing you want to do is get on those websites. Some of them are free. You probably get as many as you can, but you want to get your minting date listed on one of these super public websites because everyone's got eye on that. And again, you need to have an activity on Discord and Twitter. To address a global audience, you want to address the veterans. When you get the veterans in on the project, you get their buy-in. That means everyone who follows that veteran, literally follows them on Twitter, will want to go in there. So how does a veteran look at your project and decide that this is a worthwhile project? I got people telling me it's on Solana. I don't invest in Solana. And because he said that, his followers won't invest either, which is why Gari we're going to do on Ethereum. Because we know that we want these veteran, more serious players, for whatever reason it is, we want them to associate and buy into this project so that everyone can benefit from that collaboration. And the other thing is, how do we make sure that it's there for the long term? Panayiotis gave the perfect answer for us, for me, is not being anonymous, proving and creating a sense of trust. But the reality is that the most successful projects are completely anonymous. I mean, for the other two Cypriot projects, who I invited also, might be within this room, we don't know. The point of the matter in the NFT space is to give them, I'm going to use a word, give them the illusion that they're going to make money, but to actively pursue that illusion with them. Because it's a gamble. Nobody knows if two different NFT projects with the same image are going to be successful. But one of them could be successful. That is the gamble. So you all have to commit as much as you can to support this illusion with the hope that it's actually going to make it. And when it does, people do make money. It's not unfathomable that it happens. But it's a collaborative gamble. It is a wave of optimism. And a certain dose of luck. You know, certain other projects, I told them, how did you get 10,000 members on your Discord? And they said, well, this particular woman on Instagram who's never done an NFT before liked ours because we are female figures on an NFT, well-dressed women. She liked it, she put it on Instagram, and people just absolutely loved it and came in. And then another project that I asked, how did you get it? And they said, well, Gary Vee follows us. So the world's biggest NFT influencer clicked one button on Twitter, and everyone keeps spying on who he follows. Because if he likes that idea, he didn't even tweet anything. He just liked that idea. People follow blindly. And that's really the luck you need. Because everyone is tweeting out, hey, Elon Musk, senpai, notice us. I mean, the guy gets probably billions, no jokes aside, billions of tweets. So how does he pick the one? He doesn't deal with it. But the people who are influencers in the game and promoters actively go and choose one every day. So they say, I like this one. And just by them clicking a little like, you know, an army of people come. And I do that too, right? I follow people, I follow that energy, and I buy those ones in hopes that I can sell them and trade them and flip them, just like my little bouncing balls.
And of course, a lot of the influencers on Twitter will actually say, hey, I'm looking to buy an NFT, suggest something. So we go to them and we say, well, here's our project, have a look. It's for charity. And of course, that helps.
And we give a giveaway.
Giveaways as well, whitelist giveaways.
Yeah, we tell our audience, hey, you want this to work? Get your asses onto that tweet right now. All of you, and rate that tweet. And the real influencer wants this. It's
Yeah.
not funny. He wants to see 1,000 people shilling one particular project because he's saying, wow, there's a big demand for this one. So which one is he going to look at? The one that he got 1,000 tweets, or the one that 100,000 humans actively went and wanted to speak to him about this project? We're like, okay, well, 100,000, let me see what's the supply. There's only 5,000 pieces. Do the math. High demand, low supply. He likes that one and everyone does it. It's convergence.
So we're basically back to high school again.
Well, yeah. This is why I said it's a study on social and human behavior.
Yes.
With a financial instrument. It's scary times we live in.
Well, this was our section about starting NFTs from Cyprus. I just ran another Slido question for you. Again, slido.com for our online audience as well, slido.com. The hashtag is SGCY. And the question is, how well do you know about, no, it's correct. How well do you know the Web3 concept? We're going to get into Web3, so go ahead, answer your questions. By show of hands, who's with us? Are you all good? Conversations, is this something you like to hear? All good? Perfect. So, we're getting votes in. Wait till 20.
I want to play that voting music like do 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 do.
Now
vote now.
Now is your chance.
Yes.
All right, so how well do you know Web3? Answers are, I don't know anything, 24%. Somewhat, 59%. And I know it all, 17%. I don't know anything, just increased to 28%. So we're averaging here. On that question that we have on Slido, there's also an image. Because our screen is small, if I put it here, you wouldn't see it. You can enlarge the image on the question. It relates to the conversation that we're having about Web3. It's basically a diagram that compares Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. So I'm just going to quickly summarize Web 3 so that we can get into the conversation. Just to look at the web space in general, we had Web 1 back in the 90s, which was information websites. The only thing you could do was going online, going on the internet, get the information, and done. There was no interaction. There were some centralized websites that you could get your information. That was Web 1. Web 2 was start of the social medias, start of the interaction between people on web, which you could now participate in the interactions. But what happened there is, again, Web 2 is highly centralized, is Facebook, Google, Instagram, all that holds the data, so people have to go to these centers to interact with each other. So most of the profit, most of the activities are on these centralized centers. Now we're getting into Web 3, thanks to blockchain technology, which everybody has ownership within pieces of the web. You don't need a middleman like Facebook to interact with each other. You own your data. You make profit out of data if you want to. And basically, there is more control, your personal control and personal privacy, and it's fully decentralized. We're moving towards Web 3, which to me is very, very, very exciting. It's finally distribution of power within the web, and we're going to see a lot of things change for the next 5 years. So this is Web 3. The diagram that you see on Slido basically visually explains what I just said. So how do you see metaverse for next 5 years?
Well, I see people wearing these VR glasses, sitting at home on the couches, and basically having coffee, having a conversation with people far away, people, probably the neighbor, basically everyone and anyone, being able to interact in a world where it is virtual, and you can actually get away from reality. Or I also see it in the future, say, probably in the next 4 or 5 years, to say that a lot of companies will start looking at the virtual space, the metaverse, as a real office, as a real place to meet, rather than actually just traveling and going to a physical office. I think the way that the technology is evolving is so expansive, so rapid, that the computers, the graphics cards, the PCs that you have, your iPads and any other tablet that you have, even your mobile phone today, is strong enough, is quick enough to be able to render this sort of environment. So I think that was a very important stepping stone to get to this point of being able to create a 3D environment and letting people interact. So a lot of people are introverts. A lot of people do not want to go and meet up anywhere face to face to do something, and would not mind having that opportunity to communicate virtually. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see a lot of medical applications where a doctor is able to see a patient and speak to that patient through some sort of virtual reality environment. Maybe not through an avatar, maybe through a video or something else, but I do see this being part of it. Mm-hmm. So I think that we are going to see a lot of development. We're going to see a lot of convergence of a lot of industries into the metaverse, and we're going to see a lot of financial gain in the metaverse.
First of all, you had me at Web3. I'm in love with the concept of Web3. I've been a web developer since after I sold bouncing balls, I started web development. So Web2 is about the semantic web and the convergence of things into single utility, which also brought the power of companies understanding that this is what people want. People don't want 10 marketplaces, because then they have to cross-post 10 times. If you want to sell something, they want you want one marketplace so you can get highest vision. Like if you're recruiting for a job, you don't want to go to a website that's got the least people who are recruiting. You want the one biggest one. If you want social media, you want the biggest one. That's the convergence of Web 2.0. Technically, it's the semantic web, but it's where the web became convergent and companies centralized on that idea. And Web3 is pretty much about breaking those principles down to their fundamental value of nothing is no longer centralized. No one is the owner of anything. On a more technical value, Web3 is all about connecting to the blockchain. Having your local web browser, not the machine that is serving you the content, but your browser. The thing that's in your hands, whether it's your PC or your phone, connect to the blockchain. It skips the middleman, goes to the blockchain, and does something on that immutable ledger that we call the blockchain. And the beauty of it is the legitimacy of that.
And what I want to add to that, an example of a Web3 is, let's take social medias for instance. Let's say you have Instagram account, you got Facebook account, you got Twitter account. So you have to go to these centers and update your information, different information and all that. What happens with Web3, maybe you could have all your pictures, all your social information on your wallet, and it's then these companies coming to your wallet asking for permission to use your data for their social medias. So this is the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You can reject, you can cut the permission anytime you want, and everything is in one place. So you don't need to go Twitter, Facebook, Instagram to change everything. You do it at once in your wallet, and all the other organizations will update themselves regarding to your wallet, which to me is wonderful.
There's a lot of beautiful ideas on Web3. I know we're diverging away from Metaverse. I'll get to that.
It's fine. My next question is on DAOs.
Okay.
So it's my favorite part of Web3, DAOs.
So I love just that you mentioned Web3, and because I've got a very controversial opinion on Metaverse, you might want to hear that. The concept of Web3, we're super early into Web3. People believe that Web3 is the new thing that's going to change the world, but the ideas on how it's going to change the world are skewed because it's early and people are very hyped up. For example, you can't have social media on Web3. You can have what you said, control over your privacy, or you can have DRM, digital rights management, but you can't have an immutable record that you can't delete. Because what if I post your public address? and then I can't delete it, you know? Or, God forbid, what if there's a crime or something that is criminally offensive, a photo of something you're not allowed to have, and it's on the social blockchain. You can't delete it, you can't take it down.
Well, I don't think Facebook deleting anything neither.
Yeah.
Especially with
good.
their friendship with the CIA.
Yeah. That's super scary. And you know they're listening to us right now. That's a joke.
Hopefully not.
So
We're live on Facebook, so
well, yeah. Zuckerberg, no, it's him. So the jokes aside, we're very, very early because we don't know how to implement such amazing power in our fingertips. And so many concepts keep coming out. People saying, you should do this and do that. You know, it's taken years, maybe centuries, to create a governing model on how we have society today. And to rip that apart and just replace it with another system with people who aren't familiar on how that system works is preposterous. But having the power of Web3 to enhance existing systems is where the niche is at. That's amazing power that we have. And in the coming years, we're going to see a lot of projects that are going to completely fail. And then through them, they're going to emerge a few projects that are legitimately good ideas.
exactly like .com boom that we had.
Precisely. You know, everyone thinks just because you can, you should. And once those projects die out, it's going to take some time to emerge some really amazing projects.
So for the past couple of weeks especially, we had a lot of news of government interference within the crypto market. We had news like SEC fining BlockFi for $100 million just because they were giving a high yield lending, was it? Or yeah, it was a lending program. Or we had Russia legitimizing Bitcoin. We have Joe Biden this Monday making a decision about cryptocurrency and how it stands in the United States, and also we had the Canadians, the Freedom Convoy with the truckers that they're trying to track their wallets to see who gave funding to those, Freedom Convoy people. So there's a lot of government interference in blockchain and crypto. What do you think? How can they influence this? Are they going to influence this? What's going to happen with this? With these things that is coming out?
Do you want to?
Yeah. So governments, of course, are a central power, and governments are there in order to make decisions for a country. Yeah. They are there to control a lot of things, and of course, any democratic country, they need to run the country in the way that they see that it best fits for the people. Now, let's try and tie in blockchain technologies, cryptocurrencies, and understand that there is a convergence between a euro, a fiat currency, and a cryptocurrency. So now you have got a new type of asset that they are trying to control and regulate. Yeah? So they would say, well, it is in the best interest of our country, it's in the best interest of our citizens to protect them in order not to engage with something that we cannot control. This is the way we have seen it panning out throughout the last couple of years. Fortunately, some countries have embraced it. Some countries are trying to regulate it. Some countries are just trying to ignore it. So I think it is very early. It is something new. And I think that future will tell how this is going to all pan out. But the way we are seeing it, there is an amazing opportunity for business. There is an amazing opportunity on the technology. And I think that a lot of the governments will embrace this, as has Singapore and some others as well, where there are some very good success stories on the crypto market in general.
Eric, are you worried or are you strongly on the path?
I'm very, very worried. We live in, here's the main principle, right? We live in a century where people think they can slapstick concepts without doing thorough research. We've broken the mold of performing analytical decisions based on people who have studied it. And we can prove this. And now we have a generation of people who are influenced, and we even use the term influenced, by others who have no say in this. Right? People who are rich suddenly have power to talk through Twitter, and they say something and it influences people. We live in a scary time where decision making is no longer done by critical thinking, and it is done by this social bubble because of this amazing thing called the internet and the globalization of it. And the fact that you can Google Translate now everything doesn't mean that one's words are limited to only a few countries. That being said, these kind of movements allow people to think that you can slapstick blockchain on anything and make it better, which is definitely the most chaotic thing you could assume. So governments are definitely super afraid of decisions made that way. I mean, COVID is a perfect example of whether you conceive it as an overreaction of the governments or a underreaction of the people. We definitely have an imbalance of decision making, because if you are I don't know, when I was a kid, if a scientist came on TV and said something, everyone believed him. If your president said something, everyone did it. If there was a sticker on the floor that asked you to do something before you entered an establishment, you did it. You never asked why. You showed respect for the business owner. You showed respect for your teacher and your parents. You showed respect for your government. There's nothing of that anymore. Every new person in this new generation is an anarch toward their parents, their teachers. Society in general has adopted this rebellious nature. And there's nothing wrong with conceiving a new version of something that's better, but it's done through a chaotic movement of nothing that's analytical, and it's super scary. Governments are so afraid of this concept that they overreact, right? What's the first thing Cypriot government does? They're like, this is scary stuff. The adoption of crypto in our country could completely incapacitate the economy. Because, believe it or not, the government doesn't just take tax because they want to be rich. They take it because they want to build roads. And that's the system they've implemented. It's not a perfect system, but it's the system we have today. The next road they're building relies on the fact that hardworking people are going to give a significant share of their money to the government. And that money is going to build a new road. The moment the government sees that the complete adoption of crypto diminishes a tax system because there's no smart contract that's called tax version 1, the fear that the government says is, whoa, we can't have this. Let's do something drastic. And they ban crypto from the central bank, which bleeds into every Cypriot financial association. Mm-hmm. And these are the overreactions, just like in COVID. Too fast overreactions because of the massive fear that's governed behind it. What comes out of that is random. We don't even know what's going to happen in the legitimacy of crypto in Cyprus or any application of blockchain anywhere. And that's what scares me, because people have a rebellious nature. They want to follow Elon Musk. They don't want to follow an analytical behavior. They don't want to vote a system of intelligent people and say, I'd like to invest in them. They rather do the dog that wears a crown and has a rocket behind him because it's funny.
I was one of my favorite books that I read, Theory of Infinity, is it says that the human growth in general, from the revolutions and the evolution of human within the new let's say generation, was because they were rebellious. Mm-hmm. But the key point there is being rebellious with knowledge. Mm-hmm. You can't just be rebellious following someone's word without doing your own research, right? So I see this, again, I think we're in a social bubble as well right now. Yeah. We're testing out a lot of things, but this bubble is going to burst, and we're going to embrace rebellious people who are backed by knowledge, by information, by facts, by proof, and by science, mm-hmm. right? So I'm very positive, and I see these things happening in the world as something really positive. And hopefully the bubble would burst very soon.
I think this is very positive, but it's scary.
Yeah, it is scary as well.
It's positive.
There's a lot of uncertainty, obviously.
Yeah. When looking at technologies available on the blockchain, So I'm going to give you an example of a technology called helium, all right? Helium, HNT, is a technology which allows IoT devices to communicate through a huge network all around the world. Now, there are applications for these sort of technologies that will help governments and infrastructure. So imagine a world where you've got a technology such as helium, which allows IoT devices, little sensors, or little temperature sensors, presence sensors, or any sort of sensor that can give some sort of useful information, being able to communicate openly and freely over a huge expanding network. Imagine the Cyprus government saying today, okay, let's put some sensors over this network all around the city to understand air pollution, to understand noise pollution, to understand parking sensors. Where are the free parking spots in the city? There is so much you can do with the blockchain technology, such as helium, that if the governments wake up to the actual reality of the advancement of this technology and not close their eyes to say, I'm scared of this technology
So
because
I
I don't
can't
know.
control it, yeah.
I cannot control it, therefore I cannot deal with it. But if you actually turn the page around and you look at the technological aspect of it, it is a huge opportunity for governments. It's a huge opportunity to save money and invest in infrastructure in a way that they've never seen it before. So the Helium network allows you to set up hotspots, okay? And these hotspots are able to accept information from over 100, 150, 200 kilometers far. So you could have a sensor sitting anywhere in Cyprus, really, and with the current network of Helium in Cyprus, you could literally cover the whole island and get any sort of information you wanted, and actually being able to utilize this for infrastructure. So why not do that? Why not go ahead and invest in this technology and actually embrace this technology in order to meet your obligations as a government? And this is the message I hope they will see, to understand. This is not something to be scared of. This is not something that is a threat, but this is an opportunity.
Of course, the government addresses these things with one blanket statement, right? Crypto is bad, therefore this is bad. Crypto is money laundering, therefore this is money laundering. You know, crypto is gambling. So that blanket statement doesn't help them see a specific installation, a specific a tool, let's say, that is actually good.
Yeah, but we should also have a look at cryptocurrency, or the blockchain itself is transparent, it's open, it's shareable, so therefore it's auditable. And this is the most important thing that they don't realize, that if it's something that you can audit, it's something that you can verify, and it's something that cannot be tampered with. It's tamper-proof. So therefore, this is a good thing to have, because finally you can have accountability. Finally, you can understand where money came from and where money went. Imagine destroying every currency in the world and creating a digital version of that, that you could actually say, this euro traveled from this person to that person to this person to that person. This would be the reality if everybody adopted cryptocurrency and did away with fiat money.
Well, gentlemen, it was an honor to have you here on our panel discussion. We're going to move towards the Q&A, so everyone get a chance to ask their questions. But before we do that, I have some gifts for you.
Oh.
I minted some T-shirt for you.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome.
That's your NFT, I guess.
That's his.
That's his. Let's go.
This is really awesome. This is really awesome.
Yeah,
I love
that is me.
That is awesome.
That is.
Round of applause.